and welcome to the First Watch podcast. My name is Drake. I will be your host for this podcast. I will be joined by a rotating group of friends who come together and discuss their first watches, whether they be from the 1920s, the 2020s, or anything in between. Now, this is going to be a spoiler-heavy podcast, so if you haven't watched the movie already, you could either do one of two things. You could either, one, join us for the conversation and decide whether or not you want to watch the movie for the very first time, or two, you can pause this podcast, go watch the movie for the first time, and then come back and join us for the conversation. Now, without further ado, sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and enjoy the combo. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the First Watch podcast. I am rejoined by one half of the Movie Friends podcast. He was here for Field of Dreams not too long ago, and now we are back for yet another sports-related movie. Mr. Seth Vargas, do you want to say hello?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing well, and I've watched another sports movie, which is not my forte, but thankfully it was about my favorite sport, which is boxing.
Yeah? I didn't know your favorite sport was boxing.
You know, it's it's a very low bar to get over. So if I like every sport at like a number 1 or 2, boxing is like 3, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So did you know quite a bit about boxing then prior?
No,
just enough?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I still don't know anything about it. This is on a scale of 100, you know what I mean?
Fair. Okay. Yeah.
No, I don't know anything about boxing. And so for this, the parts that I found the most fascinating was just when 2 old men were teaching Hilary Swank about how boxing actually works. I was like, you know what? Let's just do this for the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to give like a quick synopsis about what $1 Million Baby is about? I mean, obviously it's about boxing, but...
Yeah. Okay, there's a baby, and it's worth $1 million. Baby. No, I mean, $1 Million Baby is the story of a father and a daughter and another father and another daughter, and about the risk reward of putting yourself into another person's life and how we hurt each other in doing so.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way of putting it.
And there's some boxing.
Yeah, there's some boxing in between. Yeah.
And there's a Jay whatever, what's his name?
Which one?
The Canadian guy. The welterweight.
Oh, are you talking about the guy that was playing?
Oh, Jay Baruchel.
Is that him?
Jay Baruchel's in this, getting off some racial slurs.
That was
early in the
so
film.
cool, so early.
Like and 2 minutes in. Coming back when Morgan Freeman at the end of the film says, and then a ghost walked through the door. I was like, oh, it's going to be the boxer who ditched Frank at the beginning of the movie, or it's going to be Frank's daughter, or it's going to be, and then Jay Baruchel walks in. I was like, we don't care about this guy. What are you about? You did not give us enough time with Danger, the skinny guy, to have him be the ghost that walks in the door.
No. I did not care for Danger walking in the door. I did have a question of like, what happened to Danger? Because there was like a brief question of like, okay, I haven't seen this kid that has been thrown down our throats for a solid, 15 to 20 minutes in the movie.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, like I guess they're done with that. Mm-hmm. It didn't really bother me that he wasn't there. I kind of made a mental note of like, okay, we just haven't seen Danger in a while.
Yeah, because we don't care about him.
Yeah, I thought he just quit after he got his ass beat by Anthony Mackie. I was like, okay, so Mackie beat the fuck out of him, so now he's just done. And he comes back, and I'm like, wait, this absolute moron is coming back despite all this? Like, even Mike Krippeldaus probably would have done better than him in the form that he had alone.
Yeah.
Like, his form just boxing the air looked wild.
Yeah, but okay, whatever. I mean, sure.
I mean,
sure.
yeah,
You're gonna tell me Jay Baruchel's end game for the film? Go for it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I did not see a purpose for him coming back at all. I don't know if you did, but I'm assuming not.
Well, I mean, I see what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
100% I see, but you have to, if you're gonna have a B plot, yeah, it has to be the B plot, not one of the C or D plots.
It was more like Z.
It's like surprise, this guy, you know.
Yeah. I would have rather had the first fighter that left him come back.
Yeah.
Being like, hey, I saw what happened to your fighter.
Right. I mean, you see what they're doing, like, you know, going back to when we're introduced to Danger, he's talking to Morgan Freeman and saying like, oh, you know, I don't have anything against you, even though you are blank, blank, blank. And Morgan Freeman is trying to be patient and like, can I help you? So, you know, they have an arc where now Morgan Freeman has to step in and save him. And then he comes back around and we are everything that the cinematic language is telling us. So we are to believe that now these two will work together. Okay, fine. So that's an arc, but it's just cheap and I think I would feel better about it if it wasn't set up with that line, that specific line.
Oh, and like at the end, yeah.
You know, and then a ghost walked through, or it was just, you know, and then I got my own problem, or I got some, you know, I don't know. A door opened up for me to train someone. I don't know. Any other setup than that, I guess is what I'm saying. But welcome back to $1 Million Baby, the episode where we're talking about Danger, apparently the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get off Danger. Cause he's there for a lot longer than I thought he should be. I would have rather have seen a lot more Michael Pena in the movie than Jay Baruchel. Michael Pena, even for that like few minutes that he actually had lines and was a part of the movie, was way funnier than they made Danger. Because Danger was like they made him out to be the funny guy and the guy to point at and laugh at.
Right.
Of like, oh, this guy doesn't be anything. Why do they keep entertaining this fool? But Michael Pena was way better at just being the straight funny guy.
Right.
For like maybe 5 minutes, and then we never saw him again.
Yeah. I just didn't need any of them, to be honest with you. It's like I don't know. Okay, so when do I tell you if I liked this movie or not?
Go for it. Yeah, go for it. Let me know if you actually like this movie or you're just kind of like, all right, whatever.
Now I forget. Why did we?
This was a. I don't know if it was on the original list you gave me. Of movies for you to watch for the first time. I don't know if it was in there with Field of Dreams or if it was secondary like backup. I think it was a backup, if I'm not mistaken. Right. For like whenever I asked you which one do you want to do next. Yeah. Okay. So you gave me a separate list for this episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because this is the First Watch podcast.
Yes, sir.
And my name is Drake. Hey.
Now that I look at this list again, because I pulled it back up, I'm like, maybe. I mean, I'm not saying we should have done something different. Because this is actually the first time that I've seen $1 Million Baby all the way through.
Oh, okay.
I'd seen like clips and stuff of it.
Sure.
The most obvious one is the one we'll get to a little bit later. The I guess the emotional turmoil of this movie, if you will.
Sure.
But I'd only seen this movie in forms of clips like through Twitter because everybody talked about this movie quite a bit. And it'll pop up. Like maybe every 3 months, I'll notice a clip from $1 Million Baby popping up on Twitter. So sitting down and actually watching it for the first time all the way through was something I needed to do anyway. I think that's why initially I was like, "Fuck it, we'll just run it." And I'm kind of glad that we did. Go ahead and tell me whether or not you liked it.
Sure. I'm always glad to see a film that I've never seen before. It's very rare. My percentage for I wish I didn't watch that is in the gutter. Like it almost doesn't exist, you know. Having said that, I didn't love Million Dollar Baby. I loved Hilary Swank, and I loved parts of Clint Eastwood in it. I think that Million Dollar Baby is textbook filmmaking, and that can sound real bad, and I don't mean it to. You know what I mean? I really don't. I don't mean for. I don't want to be like, oh, this isn't anything other than what you're supposed to do. Because the fundamentals are important. They do produce good movies that people have an emotional reaction to and are meaningful to them, and you can tell stories on all of that framework. And also, this movie won Best Picture, right? Okay, so yeah, like what? Yeah, so what do I know? Yeah, right. And Clint Eastwood, I think, has proven himself to be a great American filmmaker. There's movies of his that I absolutely hate, and then there's movies of his where I'm like, yeah, this is pretty good. You know, one of the big, what's the word? Criticisms of, you know, his last film, Juror Number 2, is that it was just so paint by numbers and so procedural. And I think people were disappointed that, you know, Clint Eastwood is not appearing to take the route that filmmakers take when they get old, where they get very introspective and they get very personal and subversive and this, that, and the other. And he's like, I'm just going to make another movie and it's going to be the same as the other movies that you've seen, you know? And so I appreciate that. Having said that, this is extremely, it is like the movie.
It's also like very much a Clint Eastwood movie. It feels a lot like Juror Number 2. It feels a lot like Richard Jewell. It feels a lot like a lot of his other films that he's done. But the part that he gave himself feels very much like he's just playing Clint Eastwood. Am I crazy in saying that, or did you notice that as well?
No. And I mean, I'm fine with that. Like, I'm one of the few people on Earth who watched Gran Torino and was like, yeah, this is a good movie.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, you know, what do you want? You know, I don't know. But like I said, I appreciated some of it. It's possible that this movie kind of galvanized some ideas of what like an Oscar. I hate this term, but I'm going to use it. What an Oscar bait movie was. And in its wake, people have tried to replicate some of these elements to, I would say, lesser effect or quality. But yeah. Anyway, Clint Eastwood is good in it. Hilary Swank is good in it. I wish it was just about them and a little shorter. I don't need all the other stuff.
Yeah, the 2-hour mark, I was like, I don't know what all they're gonna fit into this 2 hours, because it is a, you know, sports movie, and most sports movies kind of sit around that 90-minute mark. At least all the ones that I've seen. They've all pretty much sit around that 90-minute mark because there's not much that you need to flesh out within a sports movie because most of them are pretty quote unquote cookie cutter.
Right.
You know what you're kind of getting with any given sports movie. The only thing you're really there for is like the stories in between the sports themselves.
Yeah.
The small stories that you see, and that's about it.
Yeah. And now we should say this is not a sports movie. This is a backdoor message about, you know, the dignity of life and the right to end a person's life, the right to end your own life. the hook being a sports story that is extremely paint by numbers to get major audiences hooked and then pull the rug out from under them. And I don't think in a cruel or bad way. I think that Eastwood is very you can see him almost as, someone having people over to their house for dinner. You can see the preparations, him laying the table out, him making the meal himself, putting all these elements together in order to get people there to then present them with this idea and this message and this philosophy that I agree with, by the way, 100,000%. I don't want to be crass or insensitive to people who struggle with the idea of suicide or who have suicidal ideations, but I think that we are a little remiss in our quest to preserve life at all costs and at any at the sacrifice of quality, and that's where we really get into the weeds on this subject. So I should not have said that this is just a simple paint by numbers story. The first three quarters.
Yeah, I was about to say the first the first 3 quarters definitely is, and especially the sports sequences of this movie are extremely cookie cutter. Because like you said, this whole movie is we use the sports as a way to get to the much larger part of the story. Plus, there's a few other like little themes kind of sprinkled in, mostly of like family dynamics and the way that disabled people are treated when it comes to their family and the way that they view them, and even like the choices and family dynamics for the choices that somebody makes, and whether or not they're professional choices or something that their parents might approve of, but yet whenever time comes for the money, they're going to come running. Like, there's a lot of different conversations that we could have with this movie, but obviously the biggest one being how what's her name, Maggie, decides to quote unquote live or unlive her life. So for those,
I've never heard that before. That's fun. To unlive your life.
I mean, yeah, because she kept.
That's good. I'm gonna use that from now on.
I didn't want to say end her life because, like,
well, that's what she's doing though.
Well,
she's ending her.
So basically, for those who haven't seen $1 Million Baby, which honestly you should probably go see it before you go and listen to this podcast.
Yeah, what are you?
Yeah,
doing?
like that's kind of the whole point is to come here for this. But you got this woman who's like 32 years old who has some sort of natural athletic ability. Clint Eastwood's character is kind of ghosted by his previous fighter due to the fact that he doesn't really want to push for him to get a title shot because he's afraid of what may happen if he does. Which does come back around in the end because his fear should have stopped him, maybe not. I don't know, before things got a little too dicey at the end and a big accident happens. I had seen the big, the part where she breaks her neck.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's talked about
multiple
so
times.
much. Yeah, it sucks because it would be a good story, but I went into it knowing.
Yeah, I did too.
More about the last quarter of the film than the rest of it.
Yeah. I did notice that during the movie, or I picked up on it more since I knew that was going to happen. That they really emphasized the stool.
Yes.
And the placement of the stool leading up to that. So I was like, oh, this is when I wish that I hadn't seen that clip on Twitter before watching the movie in its entirety, because that would have been like, I would have actually felt something a little more if I had not seen that.
Right.
But also, knowing a little bit, a very minute bit about boxing, I know that they wouldn't, like, put the stool out, just rush it out there like that, and only have it laid out. Like, it's a quick snap, so, like, I don't see how this is possible.
Right.
Even if it's a late
Well,
hit or not.
yeah.
Like,
And also, you have it's and I mean, that's the other part of it is that it is like a total freak accident because it would not have been dangerous had she not been hit from behind
right.
by the other boxer.
Yeah. And that fight in particular really kinda, I don't know, angered me, I guess is the right word. Um, because we had seen her previously with another fighter, I guess, he went and watched her for a minute. Clint Eastwood went and watched this woman for a minute, and we saw that she was already a dirty fighter. He obviously explains that to Maggie, and they had that conversation, but she was, like, punching people on the ground, which is an automatic point deduction, and they didn't deduce the point or deduct the point. Pretty much everything that she did in that fight, there were point deductions left, right, and center, and they only called, like, 2, and I'm like, "This is
Right.
wild." And then the late hit on top of that to then cause the freak accident, I was like, "Okay, so what was the point in the late hit?" Like, I know that she was punching you in the ass and, like, hitting your cervical or not cervical area, sciatic nerve. Like, I know that she was hitting that part several times, but the late hit seems a bit excessive.
I was curious after everything happens. I was like, "Do we ever find out what happened to that other boxer?"
Probably nothing
Like,
based on the way that she had been
you
moving
know,
before, because she
but I
had her
mean,
title.
I know, but this is like on camera. It's like can't you press charges and be like, "Hey,
Well
person hit me from behind and then paralyzed me?"
also, what happened to that other cornerman?
Well,
The cornerman, like,
he
he was
I
never
don't know
mentioned.
that I don't know that he's at fault. The only way that he's mentioned is there were a few moments throughout the film that really had me gasping.
Yeah.
And when Morgan Freeman's character comes up to Clint Eastwood after it's the first time that they've talked, and Clint Eastwood is like, "Oh, this is your fault, by the way." I was like, "Whoa.
It
Wow."
was a bit much.
Everybody needs to take a step back, I think, especially you, really angry Clint Eastwood. But these are the processes that a person goes through. You know, it's like, oh man, if I hadn't stopped for coffee, I wouldn't have gone to that accident. And if I hadn't, it's like you can't do that. You can't try to make sense of these things. And I think that that is the point that Eastwood and the filmmakers are trying to make in this film is, to no fault of this person's their to no, uh, to none of their own fault. I don't know what I'm saying, but this happened to her.
Yeah.
Yes, a person hit her from behind. Yes, this guy put the stool out. Yes, Clint Eastwood agreed to train her, and so she was there. She wouldn't have been there if he had. Blah 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 blah. Blah. But the point is, regardless of how she got there, she is now in that bed and wants to end her life, and that's it. That's all that there is to it, and all the characters try to make sense of how she got there. And I think that Eastwood is saying it doesn't matter. That really is kind of irrelevant.
Yeah. I think his character, though, is so strung up on the fact that he, I guess, more or less lost a daughter, and his own daughter
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
being in his life. So since he basically built up Maggie from the ground up and was so close with her that he was seeing her so much more as a daughter, so it was harder for him to look at her in an autonomous way and be like, "You can actually make a decision like this, and I'd be okay with it." Because those emotions started to come into play. So he didn't wanna, like, actually go through with killing her or allowing her to die on her own accord.
Yeah. 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 And like it's a shame because this topic is a taboo topic in our culture. And because of that, we don't have the language to talk about it properly. And so we have to use words like you just used the word kill her. Is that what's happening? Ish. Because it's something that we don't talk about enough, there is no nuance to the language. So we are forced to use language that really refers to something else. Killing someone is coming up behind them in an alley and shooting them with a gun.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what he's doing? No. And I'm not faulting you for saying that. I'm saying as a whole, we have not been allowed to explore this idea because we are in such a pro-life, pro-longevity, pro-live forever culture. I don't know if you know this, Drake, but if you eat the right things and if you drink the right things and if you take all the right pills and you do all this different stuff, you'll never look old, you'll never die.
No,
because that's the worst thing that could ever possibly happen to you.
Oh yeah.
Even though it's going to happen to everyone.
Yeah.
We don't allow ourselves any type of beauty. I mean, my goodness, Robert Duvall passed away last week. He was 95 years old,
which is crazy.
He was 95. At what point is it no longer a tragedy for a person to die?
Yeah.
For them to be like, I have done my time on this earth and I passed away, and you can be sad about it, but the idea, I don't know. I think that we need to restore people's what's the word? Their personhood and their agency to make these decisions. And I have a personal connection to this topic. When I was a child, I had a family member who was paralyzed, non-responsive from a stroke, for the first 12 years of my life. They were like this. And then they died after 12 years. And was this person wanting to stick around? Did they want to? Did they not want to? That's not even a question. Like, what the person wants isn't even a question. We just have the tools and the medicine to keep people alive, and so we do. And I gotta tell you, I don't know that I would be in the same boat as Maggie mentally, but I certainly am not going to stand in the way of her making that decision for herself.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a disabled person, this was a very interesting movie to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you were talking about the whole thing of like suicidal ideation. You don't know like what I don't know if you've ever had those thoughts or whatever. I'm assuming you do.
Of course, every day. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Come on. Well, so
come on, life is really hard and horrible, and
watching that play out was, I guess in her way, was a bit like she was very staunch about it. She was like, I'm just done, which I get 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's in a position where she literally cannot do anything ever again.
Mm-hmm.
They had to amputate her leg because she was laying in the bed for too long.
Mm-hmm.
1 sec. Hold on.
I'm here. I'll hum a tune so you know that I have not been lost.
All right. We're good. Sorry, family's coming in and out.
I'm fine. I'm here.
Anyways, it was very interesting to watch all of this play out, to see her lose more and more of herself And as she's doing that, someone who was once so determined to fight like hell, like absolutely fight because she had absolutely nothing to her name, and fought for everything that she had, to finally be like, you know what, I give up. And that's what happens a lot with people who are severely depressed and are disabled. It happens all the time because they get tired of being in the situation that they're in, being what they would believe to be a burden to everyone around, because she felt that way. She expressed that quite often. And she just thought it would be better for everyone around her if she was gone. We don't really have that conversation about disabled people at all. And it was really cool to finally see that in a movie, like actually play out. Now, granted, I don't know if everybody is going to have that same kind of conversation that you and I are having right now because of this movie.
Yeah. Well, no, because the fear comes into play where people are like, yeah, but then if you do that, then everyone below a certain quality of life will just automatically be killed. And it's like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. And also, like, I don't want to be the word police of you talking freely in this conversation. But like, again, going back to our lack of language around this, because it's not something that we're supposed to advocate for, I don't see what she decided as giving up at all. It is a choice. Like, I can't remember if it was Norm Macdonald. Some comedian had a good bit about like, oh, this person lost their fight with cancer.
It was Norm, yeah.
I like that idea of like, oh my God. like that's how we view it, because we are in our storytelling, we are taught that life is the ultimate pursuit, and to overcome and survive, that's the triumphant moment, right? It's not the will behind that survival that we honor. It is the survival itself. And so this gets into, is this just our natural instinct as a species to survive? Is that what's overriding? Is this like literally propaganda from, the powers that be that are like, no, everyone should live for as long as you possibly can. Thankfully, Dr. Oz these days is telling us that we should live longer so that we can work longer.
I don't. Yeah.
And doing the math on taxes and how if people lived longer and worked longer, that would be good for taxes. Come on.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to say again, like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anyone who struggles, because I will say this: if you are struggling to stay alive, continue struggling and continue staying alive. If this is a fight for you, keep fighting, keep going, keep your head up. You deserve to live. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
However, if it's not a fight, if it is a decision, then she had to bite her own tongue twice.
Yeah.
Why would she have to go through that? Why should she have to not be allowed to die with dignity? And she's a fighter, and she never fully listened to him. And so she's going to do what she wants to do. And clearly this is what she wants to do. And so I don't know. I think about it a lot. I think about it. My own parents are getting older, and I'm getting older. Not that old yet, but I think, Drake, am I like 3 times your age?
No. I'd venture to say you're barely 5 years older.
That's close enough, But anyway, I don't know. I just think about my own loved ones, and I don't think that it should be seen as giving up. I don't think that it should be seen as a negative. I think it should be seen as a choice and it should be respected. And that choice should be aided by our technology, not hindered by it.
Yeah, the conversation of assisted suicide, which is basically what this would have been in this case, is not something that is actually talked about at all in the United States.
Yeah.
It's a practice that has at least been discussed in places like Switzerland, and there was one other Nordic country that has really kind of talked about the possibility of introducing assisted suicide in their healthcare system. Our country is not going to do that probably for a very long time. Mostly because they'd rather milk you for all the money that you have in the hospital systems, because that's just what they're there for.
Right.
But it is a very interesting conversation to have, especially for people who are dealing with cancer, are dealing with the things that Maggie's dealing with, because there's no life that she would have had outside of being stuck in a bed or stuck in a wheelchair.
And for some people, if they want to continue in that, great, beautiful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go for it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to judge someone's quality of life. That's not mine to judge. You know?
Yeah, she just wouldn't have much of one. I know that, it kind of sucks to say, but it's true, especially considering what type of quality of life she had, what was it, a year? I think she was in this position for what, 6 months? I think something like that for a while.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
As someone who was born disabled, I don't know the difference between being fully abled and then going into disability like that, especially to that big of a contrast.
Yeah.
So I can imagine what it does to someone who was basically at the top of the world, who was revered by a lot of people paid to go and watch you at the top of a sport that you never thought you would be a part of, let alone be pretty much a champion of, and then just everything being stripped away in a moment, in a freak accident. And you have no semblance of a normal life, let alone the life that you had not even 6 months prior to that. So I can understand why she would want to be like, yo, I'm done.
Right.
Especially if there is no way for her to even have the surgery to possibly have a little bit of movement come back. Because I think they said C1 and C2 were the two that were fractured on her neck, and I don't think that she would have been able to have any sort of surgery to no longer be paralyzed.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I remember, you might not be, because I know that you're so much younger than me. But I remember when this film came out, and it was controversial, very controversial, and people did feel kind of duped and, betrayed, because the film does not in any way condemn Frankie for what he does. And in fact, in a way, and it's a tragic way, but gives him what he said that he wanted, right? We zoom in on the diner, and then also Morgan Freeman's character, it turns out the whole time has been writing a letter to his daughter. And I think that audiences that were not, on that train of thought were pretty horrified that this really crazy thing happens, tragic thing happens, then in their eyes, he kills her. And then the movie doesn't punish him, in any way.
Yeah.
So I very distinctly remember, like, that's my memory of this movie, really.
Yeah, I don't think that he necessarily needs to be condemned in any way. It's a very...
no, me either. I'm just
Yeah.
saying for audiences at the
Oh, yeah.
time,
I can see...
there was definitely some controversy over the subject material.
Yeah. I can, especially since it came out in 2004.
Mhm.
The conversation of assisted suicide was definitely not being had then. Hell, the conversation of disability was barely being had.
Yeah.
So I can see why people would be upset about the way this movie ends and the fact that he was, kind of left to his own devices and nothing happened to him.
Yeah.
I did find it very weird that, like, no one really came running to her room, even though there was
Yeah.
clearly someone at the desk that the other nurse was talking to. And then you hear the beeping go off, and throughout the entire movie, we hear the respirator going, even when there's a shot of the hallway. So you would hear it through the hallway. So you know it's
Yeah.
going. But if it's no longer going, then you would be able to pick up on that. And not a single nurse went running. And he was able to just waltz out of the hospital after helping Maggie out. And not like no one's even going to come running for at all.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you fall asleep on the job. I don't know. But again, that's not the story that they wanted to tell. They wanted that to be a reverential moment, not a moment of tension or panic. You could see them how that could be done, like the end of Argo or something. And that's not what they wanted to do. So they don't do it.
What do you think of her family?
Well, okay.
Maggie's family, because this is a
Yeah.
whole nother conversation too.
Yeah, I mean, and this kind of goes to the bummer of the characterization in this movie. Michael Pena is the Mexican dude, and Anthony Mackie's the black dude, and their families are the hillbilly dudes, and it's just so broad. It's so broad. Where then you have, I think Hilary Swank, who's kind of performing through that. It's still a, gee golly whiz, mister, I'll really give it my all. It's still that character, but I feel something with her. I see her growing and changing and learning. So I think that her performance kind of wiggles out of that broad brushstroke. But so that's kind of how I feel about her family. It's like, yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's certainly folks in the world who fit every stereotype. That's why stereotypes exist. But in your storytelling, you hope for a little more nuance and characterization beyond, here's this white family who live in a trailer and they're on welfare and they're always carrying a baby around.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she was always carrying a baby around, even in the hospital.
Yeah.
I just know. Yeah. Okay. Why the fuck did they go to Disney and fucking Universal for 6 days before going to the hospital to go see your very paralyzed daughter?
Yeah, because they're horrible,
Well,
money-grubbing people.
yeah, they're horrible people.
Yeah.
But it's like, you have the fact that they have no capacity for understanding for their own kid, and like do not give a fuck about their own kid.
Yeah.
Maggie gives them house that is already paid for, no mortgage. It's just theirs. And she was like, well, where's my welfare money gonna come from then? Because I've got a house now. That's a wild thing to put in a movie. I understand that there might be people out there like that, but I don't know how I felt about that. I was just kind of like, okay, like it's there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like I said, I didn't love this movie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to defend this movie. There's large portions of it that I'm just like, this isn't very good.
There were definitely portions of it that were not fantastic. That her family, obviously, and the way her family acted were was some of the most egregious shit that I had seen in the movie. The rest of it was very just kind of plain. Like, all the boxing sequences were decent enough for a boxing movie. Have you seen any other boxing movies? I don't think we've ever talked boxing movies before.
Yeah. I've seen every Rocky film.
Yeah.
The Hurricane, great film. What's that one? Raging Bull, that's another good one.
Yeah.
I've seen the big ones. I've seen several here and there.
All of them focusing on men's boxing. I think this is the first one that actually focused on women's boxing. And if I'm not mistaken, Christy Martin was starting to come up in the ranks as a female boxer, or nearing the end of her career, like her championship run, around this time that the movie was released. How did you feel about this as a boxing movie, like in its sequences of the training of the sport itself, versus some of the other movies that you've seen in this?
I thought it was. I mean, I thought, every time Hilary Swank launched out of the corner and knocked people out in the first couple of moments, I was like, this is awesome. This is pretty great. And then, like I said, my favorite parts were just, Morgan Freeman and Clint Eastwood explaining how boxing works to her. And I wish there was more of that. I think that there was enough there, and that those were the best parts. So I think there was enough there to kind of just have that, and then lead into the final act of the movie. Like, everything could have remained the same, and it would have just been a leaner, meaner movie. But that is not the film they chose to make.
No. There's very few films that I think should be cut down by a certain amount of time. This one, I felt like if you would have cut it down by 30-ish minutes, like make it an hour and 45 as opposed to 2 hours and 12 minutes, whatever the runtime is, it would have been a little bit better. I think a lot of the danger stuff could have been just cut out completely. The danger and the Anthony Mackie stuff, because that serves no real purpose in the story other than showing like the other characters within the other types of characters within a grungy boxing gym. I've never been in a boxing gym, but every time I see a movie that is centered around boxing, you always get these types of characters in these types of movies. And this time I felt like it's not needed. Like, all those other boxing movies, these characters, like, they're just kind of throwaway and not. It feels like they're trying to put them in the center without actually putting them in the center. It feels really weird the way that they're there.
Yeah. I mean, look, ensembles are hard.
Yeah.
It is hard to do. Very few movies that are spread thin in the edit are able to give enough time to all the characters needed while keeping pace going. Any deviation, right, is going to feel like a lack of pace or pacing. And so the ensembles that work are a miracle. It's so much easier to do a movie like The Fugitive, right? Where you have Tommy Lee Jones chasing down Harrison Ford, right? Can you name any other people from that movie?
Nope.
Right, exactly. There are a lot of other people in that movie, but you know what it's not? It's not an ensemble. And it knows that it's not, and it chooses not to be. Then you have a film like LA Confidential, which is one of my favorite ensemble pieces ever. It's mind-blowing how they're able to pull off so many characters and make it feel like one story. And then there's tricks to doing it, like 12 Angry Men. 12 Angry Men is a major ensemble that works completely because we're not having to cut from place to place and take away from someone else's time in the story. Where in this one, they're trying, when the film ends, it says that it's based on stories from, a book. And so you get the feeling that they didn't choose to adapt one story. They were like, let's take a couple elements and let's put it all together, and I think that ultimately it makes for a less good films.
Yeah. I know that Clint Eastwood won Best Director for this film in 2005, but do you think the story, if you were to keep all of the same actors, everything in the movie, do you think it would have been serviced better by having a better director in that seat? If Clint
No,
wasn't at the helm?
No, I think Clint is a very good director.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I wonder what
Do you think
movies
if
of
you
his.
if you were to put
I mean,
if you were to put
I
someone
can tell you
else?
right now, I saw American Sniper in theaters,
Oh, yeah.
and I was like, my God, and I was actually working at a shooting range at that point, and I was, pretty familiar with the real story and all of the just I mean, yeah, like propaganda that they put into it about characters who just plain didn't exist in Iraq and changing some of the stats and stuff. The story of Chris Kyle, regardless of how you feel about military involvement, is a good story by itself. And
Yeah.
so the fact that they dressed it up so much, I was like, this is just, again, it's absurd propaganda. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking through right now films of his that I've seen. Juror Number 2 is great. Mystic River, good. I mean, it might not be the greatest movie, but I don't think it's not directed well. American Sniper, yeah. Gran Torino is good. Unforgiven is good. The Changeling. Have you ever seen The
No, I haven't.
Changeling?
I was thinking about watching it.
Unreal.
Yeah, I was thinking about watching it pretty soon.
Unreal. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah. Fantastic movie about, the gaslighting of women, basically.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, it's also just incredible film. So no, I mean, I think that Eastwood likes to make epics. He likes to make American epics. And I think, that's what he was doing here. I just I don't think that it worked as well as they wanted it to.
Yeah. Do you think it deserved a lot of the awards that it got? Because it basically swept. I was looking, because this is the first time we've actually had a movie that we've talked about on the podcast where it decided to it swept everything. Like, other than, actor in a leading role, it got everything else, pretty much.
Yeah.
Everything that it could
Yeah.
get, it pretty much got. Do you think it was deserved versus some of the other movies of 2005? I mean, I'm looking at some of the movies right now. There weren't a lot of big ones, but I don't know if it, deserved as much love
Okay.
as it got.
Let's see here.
You got, like, The Aviator, Ray,
So this is
Sideways.
technically 2004. 2004 films
yeah,
for the
yeah,
2005
yeah, for the
Oscars.
2005 Oscar.
On this topic, I hate to sound like a, skipped record, but I'm never going to be very helpful because I hate awards shows and I think that they're all bogus. So do I think it deserved any? No, because I don't think any movies deserve any awards. I mean, you got Eternal Sunshine that year.
Yeah.
The Notebook, incredible film. You got Kill Bill, Mysterious Skin, Napoleon Dynamite. Napoleon Dynamite probably should have won Movie of the Year that year.
I'd have to agree.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't have a lot of nostalgia for this time period, and I'm probably more hard on it than I need to be because this is the time period when I was a teenager, and nothing is cool as it's happening when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, even looking through here, it's like, not the greatest.
Oh.
There's great stuff and bad stuff in every year, I guess I'll say. But yeah, Spielberg's outing that year, The Terminal, was not not one of his best.
I'll say it. I enjoyed The Terminal more than I enjoyed this. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed this. But I had more fun with The Terminal. So I enjoyed it more.
Well, I mean, yeah, I shouldn't laugh because I would say I enjoyed a lot of these movies. It's so funny, as an Oscars hater, it's very funny that the Oscars, they say that they're awarding, the best of the year. But if you really look at it, it's actually done the opposite, where it's actually a history of the movies that either haven't aged well or just have not remained in the public, like the zeitgeist of culture. You know what I mean? Like I just said, yeah. Okay, so this one's Best Picture that year, right? Is it better than Kill Bill Volume 2? Is it better than Napoleon Dynamite? Is it better before Sunset? Possibly, but these are all films that people love and have endured and people still talk about. And so like what does it matter? Like what does it matter whenever people are like this movie got snubbed? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you go through and you look at the movies that never were nominated or never won, it's like you'll be so shocked, and then you'll come to the realization that it's actually not the club you want to be in.
Yeah.
I guess is what I would say. Like the club, I would say documentary is a good club to be in for the Oscars. And sometimes like, I don't know, score. But beyond that, it's like, what do you mean this one best animated movie? What do you mean this? It's a joke.
There was that. What year was it that Seven was released? That was literally the first episode of this podcast, and I can't remember the year. 90. No, it wasn't 90s.
7?
Yeah, the movie 7.
Oh yeah, it was the 90s. I think it was like 95.
95? Yeah, Babe got more nominations than the movie Babe, but a pig, got more nominations than 7.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, Babe is a good movie. Babe is a good movie.
Babe is a good movie, but I forgot about it after I turned like fucking 10. All right?
I've never forgotten about Babe.
To each their own, but I'm just like...
But no, I mean, right. I mean, to your point, it's like, yeah. And to my point, it's because they all suck. The awards are a poor way of judging a movie. That's it. Like, period. For me, period.
Yeah.
End all, be all. It's just a poor way. A good way is how it ages. And I don't mean in terms of like social acceptability, but how it endures, how it impacts people. If someone can watch a film made in 1950 and be like, wow, this really speaks to me today, versus a lot of the Oscar winners that you watch and you're like,
yeah,
I don't know about this one. This one's kind of a dud, And then you find a lot of the times it's just middle of the road stuff. It's paint by number stuff. Go back and watch Driving Miss Daisy. Genuinely, it's one of the best things that a person who cares about awards can do. Go watch that film and then look at every other movie released that year and you'll be like, okay. And it's not like, oh, they got it wrong. No, that is what they do. It's what they are designed to do, is to pick the least offensive, most boring, and just statistic wise, that's what they've done most of the time. So I don't know.
I think
it sucks.
I think things are going to start to change as far as the legitimacy of the Oscars within the next 15 to 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Simply due to the fact that they're actually being forced to watch the movies, like all of the movies now.
Mm-hmm.
All of the ones that are even on the short list, they have to watch.
I don't have faith in that. There's like 11,000 members.
I know.
It's not going to happen.
So I don't know how they're going to keep up with that.
Yeah.
But my hope is that, we actually get somewhere with a lot of these movies in the next 15 to 20 years where we have a little bit more, I don't know, variants, I guess, or just like we it's not going to be the same kind of movies that we see up for Best Picture, cinematography, stuff like that from here on out.
I'll tell you what. You set a timer in your phone for 5 years from today.
Yeah.
And I'll come back.
And we'll see.
Things have changed. I'll give you $1,000.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of faith.
Hey, if you're listening to this right now, tell your phone, put a reminder in my calendar for 5 years to this day.
Yep. February 22nd of 2031?
Sure, whatever.
Yeah.
I will come back on this show. I'll do the Werner Herzog. I'll eat a shoe and I'll give you $1,000, which with inflation by that point will be worth, $20,000.
Yeah, I was about to say like $5 million at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of faith that that'll happen. That these awards will actually mean something. But my hope is like I enjoy watching the Oscars. I enjoy watching a lot of these things. Mostly just for like other people to finally be recognized.
Yeah.
Like the likelihood that we're gonna get someone who's disabled to be recognized as something like this is gonna take forever. Like it took forever that we got even like a black actor to win best best acting performance or whatever. So I'm just kind of looking for those instances of really cool things happening in the world of entertainment. But yeah, I don't think that a lot of the people who vote on these movies are really going to do their due diligence and watch a lot of the films that are released on any given year.
Look, I'm going to cut them some slack. They don't have time to. You know why? Because they're busy making movies, which guess what? Takes like 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
So if they haven't seen, if I'm going to stop talking about this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
I will say this.
Yeah.
I have taken myself out of end of year voting lists on the teeny tiniest scale that I have been asked to because I haven't seen enough movies in a given year, having seen over 100 from that year.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like morally right casting a vote. So we expect someone who's on set 18 hours a day, 3 times a year to watch all. It's never going to happen, which is why we should abandon it. It's a stupid metric. Everything should go to critics and viewers, and that's it.
I think it should only be the critics and viewers who actually vote on these types of things. I know it is mostly actors, directors, stuff like that, but it really should be critics, and even then, that's really pushing it based on the way that I've seen some critics actually adjust movies.
Well, right, but also it's like, well, why would one person's word be any better than the other?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, yeah, but we can't give it to critics because they suck. Okay, so you're telling me everyone who's voting in the sound department, they know better? Like,
yeah.
I'm going to stop you.
No, yeah. That's
I can talk about this for an hour.
Yeah. The weird thing about this medium is that there's going to be so many different opinions. I mean, that's just all art in general, that there are so many different opinions for different reasons. Like, I'm going to view $1 Million Baby a different way from the way you are. And then someone on the other side of the world is going to view it in a different way than both of us. Someone who may be older than both of us may view it differently. Like, so it's kind of hard to look at the people who are voting for these things and be like, oh yeah, I trust that you're going to vote in this direction for this reason or whatever.
Okay, so now I'll ask you,
Yeah.
as you sat down and you watched this, right, knowing that it basically swept the Oscars, does that mean anything to you? Does that add anything to your enjoyment of the film either before or after? Well, then it doesn't.
No, it definitely doesn't. I was more shocked that it actually swept the Oscars. I was very shocked
because it's not that great.
It's really not. And I hate to be that guy because this is like the second movie where both myself and the guests who are talking about the movie that we chose are like, ew. Like, it's not the best movie in the world. I wish it was a little bit better, not only in the story. I wish that, I mean, the story is gripping, but even as a disabled person, I couldn't really connect to it. And like, I may be able to connect to it based on my life experiences a little bit better than some other people could. But even then, I was like,
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
all right. Like, and since I had seen that stool scene so many times, that was completely taken away from me. So even the element of surprise was gone for me.
Right.
So I guess that was also part of it, in that I couldn't really enjoy it to its full extent by having that shown like constantly on Twitter.
Right.
Yeah, I felt like some of the acting was flat throughout. Like, even Clint's acting was very much like, I'm just going to read this and act like I'm a cardboard cutout. And it was kind of like, you know, because I've seen him in so many other things where he was actually like really good. Like, his acting was fantastic. And then I watched this and I'm like, he couldn't have given it a little bit more effort.
Yeah, I mean,
like, he played the curmudgeon well, but like,
and that's what he's playing. So it's like,
but even at the end, when he was supposed to have emotion because he's losing someone who he saw more of like a daughter than I don't know, just some random chick that he was coaching, because he couldn't really connect to his own daughter, so he took her under as his own. Like, you would think he would show a bit more emotion for something that he was about to do, or even, you know, kind of hold back a little bit, but he didn't seem to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of made me go like, this seems off.
Yeah. Grief is a funny thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, his acting was a little flat. I love that we got Morgan Freeman as a narrator again. You know, I'm always a sucker for a Morgan Freeman narration, and that was kind of what I was thinking about the entire time throughout the movie. Was like, I'm gonna be sad when we don't get this anymore. That's what I was thinking about during the majority of it.
Thanks to AI, we'll never have to stop. And again, like I said earlier, Drake, no one will ever die. Nothing will ever go away. There will never be an end to Star Wars. There will never be an end to Morgan Freeman. Isn't that great? You should pay to live forever. And it's stupid.
Anthony Mackie's performance for the 10 minutes. Decent, not great.
He's fine. It's fine. You know, he's capable of doing what's put in front of him.
Is there anything that like really stuck out to you, and you know, the main meat of the movie that you were kind of like, huh? Like, that's interesting. Something that was rather small, but it was kind of like, to you, that was kind of like, oh, I kind of connect with that a little bit.
Yeah. Not in particular. I would say that there, like I said, there was at least 3 moments that did make me gasp, only because it showed kind of the, you know, the depths of coldness within people's hearts. And I think that that's another thing that the movie deals with, is the indifference to each other. You know, first with the boxer who abandons him. We don't know what he did to make his daughter never return a letter. I would say even the relationship with the priest is annoyed with him, despite this revelation at the end where he says, you know, the only people who come to church every day are people who can't find forgiveness for themselves. And even with that being his perspective on Frank's character, he doesn't have compassion on him. So I would say that's probably my biggest takeaway is $1 Million Baby is a good meditation on the indifference that we can have in our hearts towards other people, and the indifference that we can have towards the dignity of life and a person's choosing to end their life.
You pretty much know the last 2 questions I ask at the end of every podcast, and I know you've got to get going. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask: would you rewatch this movie for any reason? Do you feel the necessity? Do you feel compelled to?
No, the only time I would ever revisit this is if I was going to do some type of law-informed project on Clint Eastwood as a director or Hilary Swank as an actor. And again, I should say, like, she's the best part of this movie by far. Yeah.
Okay. I believe you gave us Magic Spot as a recommendation last time.
Probably. That sounds like me.
Do you have any other recommendations for a movie that a lot of people may have not seen, they should watch for the first time? You should know this by now as a veteran that I'm gonna ask this question. It's gonna happen every time you come on here, but
well, I mean, I have so many recommendations. In fact, for the last 24 hours, I've just been giving out recommendations to people on Twitter, and that's been a whole lot of fun, actually. I'll give you one that I watched recently. It's called The Atomic Cafe from 1982. This is a documentary without any narration. This is just a compilation of newsreels, media footage, commercials, after school specials, in school specials about the rise of the atomic age and then the hydrogen bomb age, the Cold War, and the panic behind the bomb. I had put off this documentary for a very long time because I thought that the tone was going to be more comedic, but it is an extraordinarily powerful reminder of propaganda. And I would recommend everyone watch it. It's only 86 minutes. It's on Tubi right now, totally free. And I would say watch it and then recognize the language that's being used when we're being spoken to about the things that we should be afraid of or the horrible things that are being done, in our name and to quote unquote protect us. So this is The Atomic Cafe from 1982.
Nice. Yeah. I'm definitely gonna give it a shot this week. Since I don't really have much that I'm gonna end up watching this week, so I'll probably throw it on. Maybe tomorrow night. I'll think about it.
All right. Well, you got to watch Magic Spot first.
Yeah, true. I still have to watch Magic Spot. You're not wrong.
do the Seth double feature.
Yeah, I will. You know what? Actually, tomorrow night, that's exactly what I'll do. Go ahead and remind us where we can find you, Seth, so I can let you get out of here.
So I co-host a podcast called Movie Friends with my friend Michelle, who is much funnier and more interesting than I am. And we cover films from across all film history, all genres, all nations. And this month we did accidentally 2 films about Batman and 2 films about Bob Fosse, or directed by Bob Fosse, rather. So, yeah. And then we've got Toy Story coming up. We've got Speed Racer coming up. We've got a lot of good stuff. And I think, there's just about 300 episodes. A lot more than that, including everything on Patreon. And there's a lot to dive into. So if you're like, man, I wish I could find a podcast with hundreds of episodes where the people aren't annoying and the episodes aren't 4 hours long, hey, that's what we're here for. And then you can find me on Twitter at @osethi, and you can find Movie Friends Podcast everywhere on the internet under Movie Friends Podcast.
Hell yeah. I'll make sure, obviously, just like last time, everything will be in the description, so everybody will be able to find it. I don't know when we're going to do this again. We will talk about that here pretty soon. But until next time, bye.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Anytime. See you later.